Data shows fleets running the Lytx platform are experiencing a drop in risky driving behavior despite an increase in the number of miles driven. Peterbilt is retiring their popular truck model 389, and a number of bills aiming to increase the allowable weight of trucks are making their way through the House of Representatives despite local opposition from the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association and others. We'll get to all of that and update you on recruiting, freight, and spot numbers, plus our latest economic update from our friend Jason Miller straight ahead. For Randall Reilly, I'm Joshua Miller, and this is the 30-Day Reset. Welcome to our show, everybody. Before I dive in, don't forget, you can download a copy of everything we'll be going over today for yourself. I cover a lot on the show, but our PDF goes into much greater detail for you to really dive into. And as always, if you'd like to speak with someone on our team here, please reach out and let us know. As I said, links for the consultation and the downloadable PDF are right down there. Now, let's kick off the show with Trucking by the Numbers. Truck driver recruiting campaigns continue to favor carriers hiring as lead costs in May are on pace to hit the lowest level in 3 years, and higher costs remain inexpensive when compared to the past few years' trends. Click costs remained relatively unchanged from April. All major driver types are experiencing very economical lead generation environments. The average CPL for team drivers is down nearly 50% year over year. Company driver CPL is down 46%, and the owner-op CPL is down 25% year over year. Conversion rates on recruiting landing pages continue to rise as each month sets new records, indicating drivers are looking for jobs with purpose, which explains why lead costs are so much lower now than they have been in the previous 3 years. Comparing April 2023 to pre-COVID April 2019, there were 73% more people searching for driving jobs and 23% more jobs available. Now let's take a look at the freight side of things. FTR still predicts the market to remain unfavorable for carriers into 2024 and expects total truck loadings to be flat for 2023 when compared to that of 2022. Most areas did see big spikes for the road check event a couple of weeks back, so I'll include some of that data to give you a better idea of where we're at right now. Total load activity fell 8% after spiking 22% for road check week. Load volume currently sits 46% below the same week last year and is down 17% compared to the 5-year average. Dry van loads were down 6% following a 28% jump for road check. Refrigerated fell 15% after a 37% spike, and flatbed loads were down 8% coming off the road check week's increase of 18%. Overall spot rates were up 1 cent following the previous week's gain of 7 cents. That 1 cent gain puts the totals 22% below the same week last year, but is up by 0.3% when compared to the 5-year average. Dry van rates were up 3.5 cents, refrigerated saw a dip of 5.6 cents, and flatbed rose by 3 cents. All of those numbers followed spot rate increases during road check week. You can check out those numbers in more detail in this month's PDF, and again, the link for that is below. Now, let's jump into this month's news stories. The overall risky driving behavior among fleets using the Lytx platform decreased in 2022, even as the miles driven increased. And there was a significant drop in collisions per mile traveled in 2022 when compared to 2019. According to the data, risky driving improved by 29% and collisions were down just over 23%. David Riordan, hope I'm pronouncing that right, Lytx's Executive Vice President and Manager Enterprise, had this to say about the improvements from 2019 to 2022. During that time window was the full-scale adoption of AI to better identify new risks and actually have in-the-cab interaction with drivers so they are aware of it and can take active measures or actively make improvements themselves in the moment. The 5 most improved risky driving behaviors from 2021 to 2022 were not scanning the roadway, driving too fast for conditions, driver unbelted on a residential road, veering off identifiable roadways, and, maybe my favorite, blank stare. The popular Model 389 is officially being retired by Peterbilt after 17 years of service. 110,000 389s were produced since first debuting in 2007. The new replacement, the Model 589, recently debuted at a dealer and media event at the Texas Motor Speedway and boasts a wider cab with more elbow and legroom while maintaining the popular old-school styling. The West Coast style mirrors are also heated with an extra 2 inches in height, and running lights are now all LED. The first 589 Model 589s that roll off the assembly line will be numbered from 1 to 589 and receive a special numbered plate inside. And finally, a slate of bills that would increase the maximum weight of trucks under certain conditions is currently worming its way through the U.S. House of Representatives, but it is being met with opposition. A coalition of groups, including the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, have made it clear they will oppose any legislation that would increase truck weight or length limits. The bills were introduced in an effort to create efficiencies that come with moving more freight with fewer trips. In a joint statement, the Teamsters Freight Division Director John Murphy and the Teamsters Car Haul Division Director Avril Thompson had this to say. We reject the notion that the only way to determine if heavier trucks are safe is by unleashing them on our roads through the poorly designed, unrestricted pilot program that this legislation allows. They went on to say, furthermore, several states already allow trucks that are heavier than the federal limits to operate on their state and local roads. They are cited for safety violations at substantially higher rates and are involved in more severe crashes. We don't need a pilot program to tell us what we already know. And that does it for our news stories this month. Now let's check in with our good friend Jason Miller for his economic update.
So welcome everyone to our update right now and where the freight markets are at. Right now, this is actually going to be a little bit more positive than where we have been over the past couple months. And one of the big reasons for that is motor vehicle sales are really continuing to hold strong. And we saw a nice seasonally adjusted bump in April. We're getting back to where we were in 2018 and 2019 on a unit basis. And for many of you, that's likely very surprising. And you're probably wondering, how is this possible in today's economy with interest rates where they're at? The answer really, to me, comes back to the shortfall of sales that we experienced in 2020 through 2022. And so we lost a lot of sales in 2020 with COVID lockdowns. Then we lost a lot of sales in 21 and 22 due to the chip shortages. And if we take a look at how this translates over to freight demand, April 2023 is the highest month on a seasonally adjusted basis in recorded data history of light truck assemblies in the United States. You heard that correct. On a seasonally adjusted basis, April 2023 is the highest month of all time. That's the good news. The area where we still are having a lot of weakness is single-family housing activity. And how that cascades over and affects freight volumes is really through the wood products sector, where we can see that industrial production is down about 9 or 10% from where it was last year at this time, and also where it was in 2018. Now, as we sort of just step back and look at the overall market, there's again good news and bad news. The bad news is, as we've had more data come in, it has become apparent that this current freight recession is effectively doubly as deep as what we experienced in 2019. We have ton mileage activity down anywhere between 2.5% and 3%. On a pure load volume basis, it's likely down even more because we've had a lot of consolidation from partial truckload shipments to full truckload shipments, something that we were seeing a lot of in 2021. Given shortages. So on a pure load count basis, we're likely down 5% from where we were in late 2021, early 22. But the good news piece is, if we take a look at the data from DAT for dry van rates, including fuel surcharges, right now it appears that we have found our bottom as of May. If we factor in fuel, this actually puts essentially the quote-unquote line haul piece of that rate actually up a little bit. So it does appear the market is starting to find a floor. Now, we have to factor in seasonality. June is typically the month of sort of peak spot prices for the year if things are holding steady. So we really aren't going to know until the other side of the 4th of July holiday whether we have actually found a solid floor. Now the question is just, what can get us out of this trough? It either has to be some type of surge of demand, which, as I mentioned, I'm not really seeing a bullish case for, or we have to have some additional capacity exit, which is, to me right now, seems like the more likely scenario.
Thank you, Jason. As always, great information. And that'll just about do it for us here on the 30-Day Reset. If you'd like to take a closer look at any of the information we covered today, don't forget you can get your own copy of all the data we covered and our PDF for the 30-Day Reset for June 2023 right down below. It features charts, graphs, a breakdown of our news stories, Jason's economic update, and in general, just goes much more in depth than we can here on our show. You can also find a link to get in touch with us down there. If you'd like to talk to someone on our team about anything we went over or just want to see how we could work together to help you reach your goals, give it a click. Let us know and we'll get in touch with you. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be back next month with another edition of the 30-Day Reset. We hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.